Ford EcoSport, Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza, Tata Nexon, Honda WRV, Mahindra XUV300 and Hyundai Venue. Clearly, there's no shortage of strong options if you're looking for a sub 4 meter SUV. So would you be excited by a new one? What if I told you it was a Kia? I guess this is a great time to introduce you to the Kia Sonet.
Forget about the sub 4 meter SUVs, the Sonet has to live up to and surpass its elder brother, the Seltos. And just like the Seltos did, the Sonet also made a splash at the Auto Expo and has now made it to production virtually unchanged.
And there is lots to get excited about. This one that we've got here is the top spec GT line, and because of that you can see it's got those red bits on the grille and on that skid plate there. That aside, of course, you have those headlamps, and the signature bit there for me are those fangs which you can spot from the right angle, and of course full LED headlamps. The fog lamps are projectors, halogens, but nonetheless functional. May not be that much of cool quotient in that, but useful for sure. There's also the size factor. Now looking at this, you may not immediately connect this and the Hyundai Venue because actually they do share the platform. And that's also because this actually looks chunkier. The hood, for instance, actually sits higher up, and you may not be able to spot that at first, but just look at where it lines up here relative to the mirror, which is why this line kind of drops down and flows backwards. So it is looking more beefy, and keeping with the GT line theme, you get red calipers for the brakes and you get red accents on the body cladding as well. I am particularly glad that this C-pillar has been carried over to the production version. It gives it a kind of retro cool vibe in my books. And when you come to the rear, this is also fairly chunky. You've got those similar LED elements here in the tail lamps, and it's connected by this clever little strip, which you might think is actually lit up, but is actually just a reflector. This also looks wider because of that strip, which is spanning the width of the car, and it does end up looking quite chunky here as well.
That section is a bit VW, but as you go lower down, it gets a bit cluttered. The gloss black highlight, the 4 dual exhaust tips, and the aggressive diffuser design is cool, but in parts.
If I talk about the overall design here, I've got to say this is very different from the Seltos, which was very modern, minimalistic, very geometric. This is more organic, a little more beefed up, which I guess helps when it's a smaller package, right? And if you're looking for excitement, you certainly have a lot more on offer here in the Sonet. For starters, the steering wheel, straight out of the Seltos. Talk about premiumness, huh? And if you're looking at features, you have the same 10.25 inch screen for the infotainment system as you did on the Seltos.
However, the tall screen does eat into the sense of space and hampers the view out a little bit. It's a good thing then that Kia is offering front parking sensors to make the driver's life easier. The driver, of course, gets more tech on hand.
And if you're looking at the display for the driver, well, it also has the 4-inch MID, and the layout, there's a nice ref counter, the speedometer is digital, so it looks funky and cool. What I really like though is the design of the dashboard, especially for the air conditioning system, which is really nice and chunky. This has a youthful, robust feel about it. But if you're talking about what makes it stand out, what really makes a statement, how about ventilated seats? Yes, the Sonet gets that. And talking about features borrowed from the Seltos, you also get a BOSE sound system. This is a 7-speaker setup here for the Sonet, and that aside you also get the air purifier, which is integrated into the system. And that aside you also get ambient mood lighting, which also works with the music. Not kind of our favorite feature, but it's there.
In a similar vein, there's also a wireless charging pad with cooling vents to help your phone go from 0 to 100 without a worry. But what will help the Sonet go from 0 to 100?
Now when it comes to the engine options, well, we don't have specs on hand right now from Kia, but what we are expecting is that the 3 engines from the Venue are carried over here, which is the 1.2 litre naturally aspirated petrol with a 5-speed manual transmission, the 1 litre turbo petrol which gets the IMT, DCT, and of course the 6-speed manual. And that aside, where the Sonet is going to be making a statement is with the diesel. The 1.5 diesel is going to be offered with a manual and a 6-speed automatic. It's really stepping up the premium quotient on all kinds of fronts, isn't it? We even sneaked a peek under the hood and we could see that there's a little bit more of sound deadening. Could this actually be a more sophisticated car to drive as well? We're gonna have to wait and find out about that, but in the meantime, we'll check out the back seat. But before we head over to the back, special mention here for the drive modes on offer here. You have 3 drive modes, you know, the Eco, Comfort, Normal, and Traction modes for, well, if you decide to take this rough roading. This will only be offered, of course, on the automatic versions of the Sonet. Quite simply, this is a cabin meant for 4 adults because you do have enough knee room, as you can see over here, and headroom is sufficient too for 6-footers as well. But in terms of width, just like with the Venue, it isn't exactly generous, right? But this is pampering you a bit more with the all leather seat covers that you have here. You have good adjustable headrest, and if you're thinking about the middle passenger, you can see that these seats are nicely scooped out, so will hold the 2 outer occupants well, but not the most comfortable probably for the middle occupant. What's also handy is that you have rear aircon vents and a USB charging socket along with a place to store your phone.
The boot space is plenty too, but the absence of a 60-40 split seat will limit flexibility. But when it comes to safety, the Sonet will offer a lot. 6 airbags, ABS with EBD, front and rear parking sensors, and tire pressure monitoring system are some of the highlights here. Basically, the Sonet, with its handsome styling, premium quality and long list of features, is going to make its elder brother proud by scaring other sub-4 meter SUVs. If you put the space aspect aside, even larger SUVs should beware the Sonet, Seltos included.